Your body doesn't actually know how to burn belly fat. It doesn't work that way, and that single misunderstanding is why most fat loss plans fail before they even start. Fat loss isn't local, it's systemic. And once you understand how your body actually decides where fat comes from, everything about your training and diet starts making a lot more sense. Most people chase fat loss backwards. They do 1,000 crunches expecting a flat stomach. They cut carbs completely, thinking sugar is the villain. They starve themselves on U00 calories a day and wonder why the scale stalls after 2 weeks. Here's where almost everyone makes a mistake. They treat fat loss like a local, mechanical problem. Squeeze this muscle, avoid that food, instead of understanding it as a whole body energy system. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why that approach fails and what actually works instead. Point 1. Energy balance is real, but it's not the whole story. At the foundation, fat loss requires a calorie deficit, burning more energy than you consume. That part is genuinely true. But here's the surprising part. Not all deficits are created equal. A 500-calorie deficit built on whole foods, adequate protein, and resistance training produces a completely different body than the same deficit built on starvation and cardio alone. One preserves muscle, the other burns through it. Think of your metabolism like a fireplace. Muscle is the wood that keeps the fire burning steady. Starve yourself too aggressively, and your body starts burning the wood itself just to survive, slowing your metabolism down as a defense mechanism. This is why crash diets almost always backfire. When you drop your calories too low too fast, your body senses a threat, not a goal. It responds by lowering your energy expenditure, increasing hunger signals, and holding on to fat stores more tightly. A moderate, sustainable deficit avoids triggering this survival response, which is exactly why slow and steady genuinely does outperform extreme in the long run. Point 2. Spot reduction is a myth. Most people don't realize that where you lose fat first is determined largely by genetics and hormones, not by which muscle you're training. Doing ab exercises doesn't pull fat specifically from your stomach, any more than chewing gum shrinks your face. Your body decides the order fat leaves based on factors like cortisol levels, insulin sensitivity, and your individual genetic blueprint. This changes everything about how you should train. The goal of ab workouts isn't fat loss, it's building the muscle that becomes visible once fat loss happens elsewhere. That doesn't mean targeted training is useless. It just means its job is misunderstood. Training your abs, glutes, or arms builds the shape that will eventually show through once your overall body fat percentage drops enough. Skip the muscle building step, and even a lean body can end up looking soft and undefined instead of sculpted. Point 3. Protein is your biggest lever. If there's one dietary change that outperforms almost everything else, it's protein intake. Protein does 3 things at once. It preserves muscle during a deficit, it keeps you fuller for longer, and it burns more calories during digestion than fat or carbs. Most research points toward roughly 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight as a practical target for people actively trying to lose fat while keeping their strength. Compare that to a low-protein diet, where the body has fewer building blocks to protect existing muscle tissue when calories are restricted. In that scenario, a chunk of the weight lost isn't fat at all. It's hard-earned muscle, which is the last thing anyone wants to lose. Prioritizing protein at every meal is one of the simplest, most measurable changes anyone can make starting today. Point 4. Resistance training beats cardio for long-term fat loss. The next point is even more important than people expect. Cardio burns calories while you're doing it, but resistance training changes your body composition for hours afterward. Lifting weights creates small amounts of muscle damage that your body repairs using energy. This is part of what's known as the afterburn effect. More muscle also means a higher resting metabolic rate, so you burn more calories even while sitting still. Cardio is great for heart health and can help create a deficit, but if fat loss is the goal, strength training deserves the priority seat. That's not an argument against cardio altogether. Walking, cycling, or jogging still burn calories and support recovery between lifting sessions. But if someone only has time for one or the other, the data consistently favors resistance training for preserving the muscle that keeps the metabolic fire burning long after the workout ends. Point 5. Sleep and stress quietly sabotage fat loss. Here's something most fitness content skips entirely. Poor sleep and chronic stress elevate cortisol, a hormone that increases appetite and promotes fat storage, especially around the midsection. You can have a perfect diet and training plan, but if you're sleeping 5 hours a night and constantly stressed, your body is working against you hormonally. Prioritizing 7 to 8 hours of sleep isn't a bonus tip, it's foundational. Studies on sleep-restricted dieters consistently show the same pattern. Less sleep means more hunger, more cravings for high-calorie foods, and a greater tendency to lose muscle instead of fat during a deficit. In other words, the pillow might matter almost as much as the plate. Bringing it together. Fat loss comes down to a deficit built on real food, enough protein to protect your muscle, resistance training to reshape your body, and recovery habits that keep your hormones working for you instead of against you. Before making major changes to your diet or exercise routine, especially if you have any existing health conditions, it's worth checking in with a doctor or qualified professional first. So let's bring it back to basics. Fat loss isn't about punishing your body, it's about understanding it. A moderate calorie deficit, enough protein, consistent resistance training, and real recovery will outperform any extreme diet or endless cardio session. If you want one action to take today, it's this. Track your protein intake for the next 3 days and see how close you actually get to your target. Most people are surprised by the gap. Fat loss is slower than the internet wants you to believe, but it's also far more achievable than you've probably been told. If this video shifted how you think about fat loss, that's exactly what this channel is here for. Hit subscribe if you want more science-backed breakdowns like this one, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video, because we're just getting started on separating fitness facts from fitness myths.